Whalley Abbey is a very special place for me. I've known it for 40 years, since I first came here on retreat when I was being ordained as a deacon back in 1984. And it's been a diocesan retreat house since 1926, since the Diocese of Blackburn was created. And it's been a place, part of the vision which William Temple had, who was the Bishop of Manchester, who purchased this site, was that the Abbey would be a real spiritual powerhouse and seat of learning. But actually the history of the Abbey goes back a long way before even 1926, when it became the Diocese of Blackburn was formed, because we're on holy ground. This piece of land was given to the monks in the 13th century to be a place of prayer. And they built an abbey church here, which took them 50 years to build, and then another 150 years to build all the other monastic buildings. And part of their vision was inspired by St. Bernard of Clairvaux. Bernard was the founder of the Cistercian movement, which was a spiritual renewal movement in the Middle Ages, focused on a very simple life of prayer and love for God and for people. St. Bernard's great work was called De Diligendo Deo, that God should be loved. And he longed to create praying communities of people living a very simple life, serving the poor, loving God, and spending time in prayer. I'm standing in the chapel of Whalley Abbey. This chapel is built out of the old abbot's lodgings, which were where the abbot entertained visitors, strangers, and people in need, and wayfarers. And he would feed them and care for them, and then hand them on to other members of the community to look after. This chapel behind me has the most beautiful reredos, which is a picture of the Holy Spirit, with the sevenfold gifts of the Spirit represented around the edge. And this is a place where, to celebrate the Eucharist, we're very conscious of the presence of the Holy Spirit. We're standing here in the cloister at Whalley Abbey. The cloister, one of the ancient parts of the Abbey ruins, was the place where the monks came after they had had their morning prayers in the Abbey church. They would come here to study, and you'll see a space around me where they would be able to walk around the central green, but also you'll see some things that look like fireplaces on this side of me. They're not actually fireplaces, they were bookshelves. That's where they kept their sacred books, and that's where they would copy manuscripts of the Gospels and sacred writings to inspire and to help people grow in their faith. So this building, this area here, was for the monks, a little bit like the library is in our retreat house today. We're now standing in the ruins of the ancient Abbey church, and you'll see to my side deep pits. These were actually where the choir sang their daily prayers each day, and the choir stalls, the wooden choir stalls, which you can still see today in the parish church just next door, originally were here, and the void underneath was to enable the sound of the singing to resonate and to project well. And you'll find in many cathedrals today there is a pit underneath the choir stalls to fulfill the same function. So where we are reminds us of the prayer life of the choir monks, but behind me you can also see the lay brothers' dormitory. And Whalley Abbey is famous both for these choir pits, which are the only extant medieval choir pits in the country, but also for the lay brothers' dormitory, which is the only example of a lay brothers' dormitory which still has its roof on in England today. So upstairs was where the lay brothers slept, and downstairs was where the stores were kept. But you'll see behind me here also that there is a wall separating this part of the site from the part where the lay brothers' dormitory is located. That wall was not medieval. It came about after the monastery was dissolved and the lands were sold off. And that part of the estate is now owned by the local Roman Catholic Church. And there is a Church of English Martyrs just behind the wall, behind the lay brothers' dormitory. And so that wall is a reminder to us that we still live in a world where there are divisions between Christian denominations. But part of our vision is that one day there will be holes in that wall as Christians from both traditions, Roman Catholic and Anglican, worship and pray together. And Christians of all denominations and people of no faith, and indeed people of other world religions, are all welcome to come to this ancient and holy place of prayer.